More than 250,000 Burundian refugees have been living in Tanzania since 2015. And now for some, it's time to leave. The Tanzanian government says 12,000 want to go home. So after a joint agreement, the UN Refugee Agency will start the repatriation process as early as next week. The government insists it was voluntary.
We are not forcing, and nobody has forced the refugees to decide or to reach this decision going back to their home country.
Because the lists were given to us by the government, they collected the names of people who want to return. And so procedurally, we are obliged to ensure that everyone who has signed up volunteered to do so. So this is what we're doing now.
But for those left in the camps, things are only getting worse. The WFP requires $6 million monthly to feed the 320,000 plus Nyarugusi refugees. But it has been forced to cut 40% of the food due to competing demands for donor funding in recent months.
This really is a very difficult situation for the refugees at the moment. If you imagine that on a monthly basis they receive about 16 kilograms, we're taking that down below 10 kilos. And so that really puts a lot of strain on the households, it puts a lot of strain on the individuals.
Ayamba is a Congolese refugee who has lived in Nyarugusu since 2009. He knows firsthand how difficult life at the camp has been.
Life at the camp isn't like the city. Life there is very difficult. Once you've been labelled as a refugee, you are considered substandard, as you cannot relax. You're not in your own country.
And many others are still unsure.
The UN says that many of the refugees may not feel safe enough to return home, with more than 250,000 still remaining in camps facing some of the most challenging conditions in the world. Even after the first Burundian families return home, this humanitarian crisis will go on. Daniel Kijo, CGTN, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.